Hey, how's it going? This is Pilot Boy Chris, the authority in pilot car information, training, and mentoring. I'm back with another video. Make sure you stick to the end to get all this free information. So make sure you don't miss anything. I love giving out information about the industry and insight that I've gathered throughout the years of me being in the industry. And that's what this channel is about. So if you're not familiar with the channel, tune in to the rest of the videos that I have here. And for those that may be looking for a little bit of help, I do have an equipment list that highlights the equipment that you can use to get started and the equipment that you can wait to purchase later on. So it's kind of concentrated. I do have some other resources as well online. And if you need your handheld, you want to go from A to B on how to get in, get set up, get successful, I do have a training course and mentorship as well. But today we're going to get into a video that deals with the 5 things that you do not want to do in this pilot car game, kind of help you out and maneuver through the ins and outs of the game. So we're going to get into that right now. So the do not do number 1 is do not take a job without having full understanding of all the ins and outs of that job. And what I mean by that is, first off, you want to know what position it is, if it's a lead or a chase, because a lot of times you get paid more to do a lead because it's a little bit more responsibility that's involved when you're doing a lead. So you want to make sure to know if it's a lead or a chase. Once you know the position, you then can talk about the money. Well, what is it paying? So you get an understanding of what it's paying, and then you know if you want to accept that pay amount or not. You also want to ask about the overnights. So that's the hotel stay. What are they paying for hotel stay? Get that understanding. These are things you want to get nailed down in the beginning before you even take the job, so you don't get out there and things happen and then you ask them about it and they're like, oh, we don't pay that, or we only paying this, and this is an amount that you wouldn't have took if you had known up front. So another thing you want to get straight is the layover, which we call no-goes. That's when the load is set to go. They told you to report, or you're on site or whatnot, and you guys don't go anywhere for that day. You need to know what they are paying for that. A lot of times they will pay a fee for that day of no work, and then they'll pay for your overnight as well, so that you're there in the morning to start up. Some companies, unfortunately, will only pay the layover, the no-go, and won't pay your hotel fee or try to say that it's included in the no-go. It's all included in that one fee. That's unfortunate, but I've taken those jobs sometimes, even though I knew they were getting over, but the job was big enough to where I didn't worry about it, or, you know, I needed this job to fill in a gap somewhere and I took it anyway. But generally you want to get jobs that pay not only a no-go, but pay the hotel fee as well, because what they're doing is paying for a day that you could have been working somewhere else, but instead you sat there with them all day doing nothing. And then of course you got to pay for your overnight hotel stay, so the next morning you're still there and ready to work in case they leave the next morning. So you want to get that straight as well before you take a job. And again, make sure you ask, how much is the job paying? What are they paying per mile? Or if it's a mini or a day run, what is it paying? What is the flat rate amount that the job is paying? So you can take that into account and you can agree to it, or you can turn it down. In that same sense, you want to ask, when are you gonna get paid and how are you gonna get paid? Now I've run across some of my students feel uncomfortable asking that question, but I gotta let them know that that's a real question to ask. It may be uncomfortable, but in the industry, it's standard, so don't worry about it. But you wanna ask, when will you get paid and how will you get paid? So what I mean by that is, some pay by a direct deposit, whether it's Zelle, some do Cash App, some do ACH deposit. And you even have some that are so old school in this industry that they'll still send you a mail check by snail mail. I try to stay away from that myself. I personally don't deal with companies that do that anymore, but I have dealt with that in the beginning years. But you also have a couple other ways to get paid. These electronic checks, com data checks, and e-checks, t-checks, stuff like that. So there's several ways to get paid. Therefore, you want to verify what method is this company gonna pay you, so you're straight on that. You may not want a snail mail check, and that may be their method. You just wanna be clear on that at the end of the day. And also, you wanna know when you're gonna get paid. Some of these companies will pay you 1 day after you finish the load. Some will pay you 3 days after you finish the load. Then you got some companies that'll pay you 7 days, 14 days, and even 30 and 45 days. So you don't want to take for granted that everybody is paying at the same time. That's one of the main things you want to get straight before you take a load. Because you can take a load assuming that you're going to be paid, you know, between 2 and 4 days after you finish the load, just because the last couple companies you worked for, that's how they paid you. And you didn't ask the question. You get out there and do this load, and at the end of the load, you're waiting on your money, and they tell you, oh, well, we pay 30 days after you finish the load. And here it is that you got out there, spent your money, paid for hotels, paid for fuel, etc. And you're trying to get this money coming in so you can keep on going to the next load. And now your money's tied up because these people aren't going to pay you for 30 days and you never asked the question, so you didn't know that. So definitely ask these questions when you get a load, or you get a phone call and you get a load offer. Make sure you ask these questions and get all this understood before you accept the job. Now, the do not number 2, I've kind of touched on this in another video about the dirty side of the industry. So the number 2 is, don't just take a job from anyone. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at the industry, this industry is not regulated like other industries are. So unfortunately, from time to time, you have some unsavory folk that may get into this industry and pull a move here and there. So with that being said, don't just take work from anybody while assuming that everybody is doing good business out here. Because unfortunately, everybody is not doing good business out here. There got some companies that have a reputation. It's known that you're gonna have issues getting paid from these companies. They're gonna pay late, they're gonna stall you, etc. So the do not here is, don't work for just anybody. Make sure that they're reputable and make sure that they are gonna pay you on time. This next do not is very important. One you wanna take note of. I actually got a student that got himself caught up in this, and he's been having trouble getting work because the word spread of how rude he is. But my do not here is, don't talk rudely to these companies and these contacts in this industry. The industry is big, but it's small, and the word spreads fast if you come out here and you're not operating up to their standards in whatever capacity that is. But be sure not to talk to these people rudely or get in arguments with these people. Unless it's about your money, of course, that's a different story. But I mean, just being rude or being smart, things like that, they take note of. You're gonna get a reputation quickly for being rude, for being difficult to work with, etc. And you're gonna find yourself either out the business or working harder than you should have to work, trying to get more business. Like I said, I got a student that went through this, and you know, before I knew it, he was having trouble. We dug in to try to figure out what it was, because I'm like, you're getting the same contacts everybody else is getting, they're successful, what's the problem? The area he's in is a bit challenging, but you still can overcome that. But we had to dig in and find out what was going on. And once I did dig in, I found out that he had spoken to a number of people the wrong way, and it spread, and they got to talking on the phone, and all of a sudden he found himself not getting phone calls, not getting his calls answered, etc. It can happen fast, and you know, like I say, the next thing you know, you'll find yourself on the outside after you've done all this setting up and spending your money and excited about this new career, and you started off on the wrong foot, talking to people wrong, and now you're not able to get any work. This do not number 4 is pretty simple, but it can go a long way. When you show up to meet with the driver, when you're freshly dispatched and you're about to meet up with the driver, you want to make sure that right before you meet up with him, you go fill up with gas so you're fully prepared. You don't want to show up to a job site, half a tank of gas, a fourth a tank of gas. And as soon as you guys get rolling, 50 miles into it, you need to stop to get gas. You never want to be the reason that the driver has to pull over. Sometimes you may get out there and even though you guys have stopped for the day to take a restroom break and a gas top off break, you may get down the line, maybe 150 miles and have to use the restroom again. It's unfortunate, but it's acceptable. But what you don't want to do is show up to a job site almost on E or half a tank. And like I say, you guys get down the road a little bit and you already have to stop for gas. So make sure that when you're dispatched for a new load, even if you're on a load, when you meet back up the next morning, you always want to make sure that you're meeting up with that driver with a full tank of gas so you can drive as many miles as the driver needs to before you guys take that break. And this do not do number 5 kind of piggybacks off of number 4, but it's don't show up with bootleg equipment. I've seen this several times out there. It's a bad look for you. It's a bad look for the industry, but most of all, it's a bad look for you. So what I mean by that, you show up, you put your equipment on, some of it's bootleg. Now the driver may notice and may not say nothing and may not like it. You got some drivers that will notice and it doesn't really bother them. You may be able to get away with it with this driver or that driver, but you got drivers that will take notice, don't like it, but they won't say nothing to you. They just ain't gonna call you back. If they're owner operator, if they work for a company, they'll mention it to the company and the company won't call you back. And here it is, you won't know why you're not getting this call back. Go out there. If you don't have money for all the equipment, don't go out there and get bootleg equipment. Wait, save up to get the equipment that you really need. So you go out there looking professional. I've seen it too many times. Like I say, I've seen guys show up with the flags that are from Academy that got the football teams on them, and they spray paint them orange or they spray paint them red. And those flags are not durable, but that's not even the issue. The flags don't angle at the 45-degree angle that they're supposed to angle at. They look cheap. I mean, it just looks crazy. And like I say, they may get away with it for that one load, but they don't get that call back. And not only do they not get that call back, that name is being spread that, hey, this company is showing up with bootleg equipment. Don't use them. So you don't want to get on that list of being rude, bootleg equipment, showing up late, all that type stuff. Get out there, handle your business professionally. Hey, drop in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Like, subscribe, follow me. You even jump on the IG. You can follow me on IG. Just look up Pilot Boy Chris. If you guys are excited and ready to jump in the game, some of you may need just a little pointers here and there. I got some resource. I got a resource list. I got equipment list on my site. If you need more hands-on help, I got the training course, the mentorship. That's for you. I take you from A to Z on how to get set up, how to get going, how to be successful. You got the contact list to get your work. I mean, it's a complete course. Then the mentorship, I'm there with you. I'm a phone call away throughout your entire journey. So anything you come up against, I'm a phone call away, whether it's new companies that you come in contact with. You don't know if it's a good company or not. I mean, all that type stuff. Until the next time, I'm out.